welcome back. Episode 147 of Grouch and the Brainstorm. I am Mike. I'm joined here today. We're gathered here today
Gathered here.
with Matt
Yes, sir.
and Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Hadn't seen you in a minute.
I know. Lisa and Alice has been hanging around. I've been trying to keep her on a tightrope here.
Well, it's that time of year where, tight ropes are tight ropes. You got to have them.
That's right.
Couple announcements before I forget. So let's get them out of the way. Let's see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. Love my announcement music. On February the 20th, our Randy T will celebrate 30 years of continuous sobriety. No nights, no weekends. Yeah, it's pretty good,
That's
man.
all in a row.
That's all in a row.
God,
30
man, that's
years,
tough.
dude. So think about it, man. From the time he started until Friday, some kid has become 30 years old.
Right.
From birth.
Yeah. Dude, I had just got my driver's license when he got sober. So I'm 46. So yeah.
Randy got sober in February of 1996, and I got married for the first time in August of 1996. So, yeah. If that had worked out, I'd be married 30 years.
I
Yeah.
went crazy in 96. And then I took a
96.
U-Haul and a hostage and a cat, and I moved to Louisiana.
Yeah. Well,
sounds
if you're
like a
going to
start
do
of a-
that, Louisiana is the place to go.
That sounds like the start of a great country song.
It does. doesn't
Took
it?
a hostage and a
Jot that
cat.
down. Let me
Yeah.
jot that down on my
Yeah.
notepad here,
Yeah.
So, Matt, what you been up to, man?
Man, I've been trying to get this year started, and I just paused momentarily for about 2 hours and went fishing till 6:31. So it's 7:04. So that'll tell you how long I've been off fishing. But stopped and wet a line a little bit this evening, just kind of catch my breath. And I'm glad you played the announcement music. Jason, who we had on the show a few episodes back, 2/28 of 17 is his sobriety date. So he has, that'll be what, 9 years? 9 years? Because I'm coming up on 8 and mine's in 18.
Yeah.
So that'll be 9 years of sobriety for Jason. So, that's pretty dang awesome right there. And he and I also, I'm kind of proud of him too. Y'all probably don't even know who this guy is, but he and I, after he was on the podcast, come to find out we're both massive Jason Isbell fans, music.
Lovely.
And we did not know that. And so now we just send each other Jason Isbell songs back and forth all the time. So anyway, we've gone down the music rabbit hole. But anyway, good guy. And I'm glad to, you can see his program. You can see what he does. And man, it's just, I love seeing people get their lives turned around and headed in the right direction. And went today to a bank. And this is what's so funny. I get so aggravated about this stuff, trying to get some financing done for some equipment and doing all this stuff. And they're like, well, we'll loan you this much money. And I'm like, well, that ain't enough. And I'm walking out of there, and I went out there and I sat down in the car and I went, shit, 8 years ago, they would have loaned me $20, And I'm like, I'm bitching about something 8 years ago. I'd have been like, you have lost your mind if they're going to loan me that much money,
Yeah.
And now I'm like, boy, shut up, go on. I just, it's sobriety all the time has those little moments. And I was sitting there and I was just like, I'm gonna go fishing for a minute and cool my jets. So that's what I did. But anyway, grass is gonna keep growing and I'm gonna figure out how to get it cut. So that's just all there is to it. So
catch fish and cut grass, man.
Yeah. So that's about all that's happening in my world.
Lisa, you tell me you started a new meeting. What's going on with that?
I did. Well, whenever I was here before, there was Lake Street. Lake Street got torn down about 2.5 years ago. And I mean, I love that building. And so they turned it into DSG. And a lot of the old timers have died from there, and my sponsor included. And Alpha and DSG are pretty much the main ones. And listen, I love Alpha. I have nothing bad to say about any group because I like all groups. And so, but I really love the Big Book study at DSG. And there was a lot of people that wanted some 7:30 meetings because they're like parents that can't get to the 7 o'clock meeting. And I used to go to 7:30, 9 o'clock, and then 5:30. I mean, obviously I was sick cookie. And so, I miss you guys all the time when I'm gone. And so I thought, I wonder how I could, if it was reasonable. And a lot of people wanted to know, especially like Rich and another guy named John, that wanted to know more about the traditions and the principles. Because, and so we decided that let's try and do one for 7:30, and we'll start it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Call it the Rise and Shine. Include the third step prayer, because I love doing that. And, on Wednesdays when I was there, we turned it into a promise and traditions and principles meeting. And so that's what we're going to do on Wednesdays, and I check my motives, because here's the deal, dude. I got to check my motives, make sure I'm doing it for the right reason. And is it to benefit, not harm? And because unity is important. And so I prayed about it, talked to my sponsor, and went to the group conscience. And here we are. And it'll start March the 2nd. So I'm really excited about it, because then it makes me kind of feel at home. And I didn't even know I was doing it because of all y'all until I
Yeah.
started to do the flyer. And when I started to do the flyer, and I noticed all these things that were so much like home, because I still listen. Y'all always be home because you got me sober the second time. Tyler will always be home because it saved my ass the first time. And I think the biggest gift this year is that I finally do not regret my past. I don't regret that I went out. I don't regret taking the hostage and the U-Haul and the cat to Louisiana, because it made me absolutely the person that I am today.
And let's be clear. Have you let the hostage free? It's free now. Whoever the hostage,
It's-
or is it?
Can I say that on podcast?
I
I
mean,
They are absolutely free. I will.
okay, okay,
They've tried
yeah.
to. They've tried to reel me back in, but I'll go. When you make those amends, sometimes they want to come across the line, and I'm like, no, we just go.
Well, you say reeling you back in. You may have been the hostage. It may have been the opposite.
I was the hostage at the end, but in the beginning,
Gotcha.
I took the.
Yeah.
I
Do
understand.
you hear me?
I
So what's
understand.
that
I understand.
Stockholm syndrome where the hostage tries to
Yeah.
become
I don't know
part
about
of
you
the
guys, but
part of
most
the
people, for me, I want somebody that's worse than I am, so I look good. So I made sure that they were. And listen, when we met in Shreveport, Louisiana, and they said, "I thought you were going to help me because you were sober." Because I was sober at the time. And I said, I was thinking that I sure like the way that beer tastes when I kiss you. And so that was not a good combination. So that's how we set that 27 years off. You hear me?
well, you gotta check your motives, Lisa. You gotta
Well,
check your motives.
those are not good. And so then I tried to
If
fix
you're
Yeah.
only kissing
Yeah.
somebody because they taste like good beer, which I've never tasted good beer, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. It was the onset of me relapsing, because I had 7 years at the time. And it tells me in the big book that I can go anywhere and do anything as long as I'm mentally, spiritually fit, right?
Correct.
Obviously, about, I'd say 7 months prior, I started to become unraveled. I started not liking people, and thought that this was just not what it was. And maybe I wasn't alcoholic. And I continued to do the things that I did when I was spiritually fit, which were not good. And so I tried to take myself out without telling anybody. And I stayed around the rooms. But then I decided that I can drink again. And the longer I'm sober, the more I see, because I used to say that I didn't go crazy till the end, but the moment that I picked up, I took out a city pole, took out the city lights. I was drinking fists, and yeah. So my life was pretty unmanageable before I left here, but I pretended that it wasn't.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up, and this was all public stuff. You can look it up. They've been talking about it the last few days. It's a celebrity that got sober that had a lot of problems. Shia LaBeouf. He was in
Yeah.
Transformers,
Yeah.
and he had a very. It's just funny how we do that. He was doing really good, and I've seen videos and things of
Yeah.
him. You can tell he's working a program. He's probably doing therapy. What's he do? Gets a divorce, moves to New Orleans,
Yeah.
buys a house in New Orleans,
Yeah.
goes to Mardi Gras this weekend, starts creeping everybody out. He relapses, starts creeping everybody out,
Yeah.
gets in a fight, police, all that.
Yeah.
Very public, not a good look like it would be for any of us. An alcoholic in his cups. You know what I mean? Man, I just felt so bad for the guy, but at the same time, it's just kind of one of those people that you see and don't know him, but I'm kind of pulling for the guy. And he legitimately seemed like he struggled with this disease that we do. And you could really see that I think a lot of that celebrity stuff is just more attention seeking stuff. I don't know that I always believe all that crap, but with him, I just kind of felt that like, hey man, he's really dealing with this, and hate to see that, man, and hopefully he's got some folks in his corner that'll reel him back in there and say, hey, we got to get back on the pony here. So, but New Orleans, man, I lived down there, and it took me, I was 4 years sober before I ever went down there to the city at all, because it was just, you know, and I enjoy it now. It's not the same, I don't have the same feelings, but that's not a place to go if you're not got your mind on your business as an alcoholic, So,
That can be
I'm
anybody.
moving.
And that's what I really learned is that, listen, because I was good for a long time. And I mean, I had great credit. I had my own business, all the things, all the promises that came true in my life. But, whenever that moment hit or that thought started creeping back in, I went through a breakup and, I'd had that horrible divorce at 3 years. And so now we've moved on. And anywho, so I just freaking started thinking maybe sometimes in the room of Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll hear people say, not everybody in here is an alcoholic. Well, here's my problem. If I'm not really doing okay, I'm gonna start to think, well, am I really an alcoholic? So I try real hard not to say those things because I don't know, and I certainly don't want to give anybody the sweet idea of maybe they're not, because eventually I thought, surely I'm not. But see, I want to be free to go wherever I want to, do whatever I want to, and I can, but there comes a time and a place where there will be no mental defense against that first drink. And I was in
mhm.
no mental defense against that first drink, and I was not spiritually okay, and I was doubting myself, and I should have stayed my ass at home because I had done it millions of times and with no problem. But that day, by God, it was a different story, and I didn't drink right then, but I took that hostage, and so
Yeah.
I didn't think about AA as much, and I thought they needed it, but I didn't, and then there I was, and so I called that sponsor and said, "I think I'm gonna have a drink." And he said, "Let me know how it works out for you." And here I come, Louisiana. I never have to buy one drink because there was lots of casinos. So I don't understand people running out of money. Just go to a casino. You can drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. They keep you loaded up.
yeah.
Yeah. And you
But
have to drink a
I
whole
needed to
lot
know that
too.
because listen, I think today I would still wonder if I was an alcoholic, and that would not be good. I wouldn't be growing. I had to have that to become so defeated that, man, I check myself a lot, guys. I mean, like I'll call you and say, "Listen, I don't know if I'm thinking this correctly or not, and I don't like chaos anymore." So
Well,
acceptance.
It's yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I moved to New Orleans. I think I was 7.5 years sober when I finally, when I did move to New Orleans. So, that culture and all that down there, it never really affected me because I was steadily going to meetings.
Uh-huh.
But, here's the thing, man. First off, this is February. We're talking about finding a higher power, and not necessarily finding a higher power, but believing that a higher power can bring us back to sanity where we don't take that drink when we're not sure what's going to happen or even when we're pretty sure something bad's going to happen, right? That's insanity is when you do that. It doesn't surprise me that this young man relapsed and
Yeah.
because he's such a high profile person, And the reason I say that is it doesn't surprise me is because if in fact he was an alcoholic, which I'm not going to say he is or not, right?
Mhm.
But if in fact he was, then why would it, why would I be surprised? That, that's just
Ain't
kind of
it?
like somebody, if you found out tomorrow that Mike went back out and got drunk and you're like, oh my gosh, that dude knew the big book, he had his own pocket, you shouldn't be surprised. I'm an alcoholic. And
That's right.
if the big book has a lot of jargon, man, a bunch of 1930s, 20s and 30s language in it, right? But the one thing it clearly says is, if we rest on our laurels, so we don't know what's going on with the cat, but obviously something happened to where that power shift happened, because I looked it up. His sobriety date's in 2020, guys, 6 years ago,
Sure.
but at some point we decide, and I say we because I'm just as
Same
bad as
thing.
anybody else. But we decided to take that power back, man. We did, and once you know what, I got this. I've been sober for X amount of time, and we forget that we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We forget step two, right?
That's
Step
true.
one's out the window when you forget step two, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it doesn't surprise me if anybody, so I'm not necessarily talking about this young man because I don't know the circumstances of his life. I can guarantee you
Sure.
there's a really good shot nobody held him down and poured liquor down his throat,
No.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So at some point, the power shift had to take place. Now, here's what impresses me, and I have not seen anything about this other than something crossed my news feed, but let's just say he says, you know what? I really am. I really am, dude. I just proved to myself I'm an alcoholic. I've got to get back into some recovery or this situation. Now he's high profile, right? If
Yeah.
I did it, Matt, you're not going to pull it up on Google, and it's not going to pop up on CNN if Mike goes and does it.
Ah,
So, but this guy's been in public since he was a child, really, and so but that's what it is, and I never get surprised. I get hurt.
yeah.
I do whenever I see that someone decided they're going to go back and take another shot at this thing. I do get hurt, and what I really get hurt about is when those consequences start piling up on people. And, here they was a month ago, they were sober in a meeting talking about how they turn their will and their life over to the care of a higher power, or talking about step two, or heaven forbid, giving a big book study, or, talking kind of like we do.
Mhm.
And a month later, they've had 3 DUIs already and trying to figure out how they're going to get that unmanageable life back together. But he knows, I know where that help is, right? We know there is something you can do. And unfortunately, they do have that added media attention, that kind of even more pressure, because now you probably got paparazzi or whatever those guys are. And I'm not talking about the police, the pizza delivery guys. I'm talking about the ones with the cameras.
Yeah.
They're out following you around. They want to get
Yeah.
a
Yeah. I mean, TMZ had video of him getting beat up in the street for trying to fight drunk, and they're whooping his tail. And
and
I mean,
who's
it's
that?
all over everything,
Why you gonna beat up the dude, man? Like, why you got like
Well, he from all things that I read on it today, he was kind of starting a lot of stuff, and they finally started it with an employee in the bar, and they shoved him out of the bar, and he decided to get up and just start wailing, and they were like, no, not gonna happen. So they were kind of stopping him more than anything, and he was just wanting more of it. So they
you
gave
are
it
New
to him.
Orleans, man. They don't care who you are. You know what I
No.
mean? So
But that's something too. We sit in here, we do these podcasts, and we do these meetings, and we do all these things. And like Mike said, if I relapse tomorrow, you're probably not going to read it on Google. You may read it on Bossier Parish Police
Yeah.
nah,
blotter
yeah,
or Gatto, but that guy has all the resources in the world.
No.
Basically, probably whatever he wants to spend on rehabs, on treatments, on psychiatrists, on medication. I mean, there's no, and you guys know as well as I do. We sit in AA, and most of the people when they first come in, it's got to be free, or there ain't no way they're going to get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And those people recover why are those able to recover, and we see folks with all the money and all the things that struggle with it over and over? And I'm not saying this guy specifically, but we see it in the celebrities and people like that. It's because money has nothing to do with this.
No.
You know, it's a
A
disease, and it doesn't
disease.
care what's in your bank account, what credit cards you have. None of that shit matters, you know? And if you don't sit down, and I've done very few by the book things in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm not the guy to quote the big book. I don't know it backwards and forwards. Here's what I know. Two things I've learned. I'm not in charge of everything, and I am a damn alcoholic and a drug addict. And I
Mhm.
know that every day when I get up. The day may go to shit from the time I roll out of bed, and it just shit rolling downhill the whole day. But I know if I go to the liquor store or I start looking around for whatever else, it's a million times worse. And that's so simple for me because I know, you know what? The day ain't got but 24 hours in it. It's going to end eventually, and a new one, the sun's going to come up, and we're going to redo this again. And this ain't going to continue, good or bad. It's not going to just every day be that way. And just like the banking deal today, I came out and I was a little not mad, but I was aggravated. I hate just sitting through all that crap and talking about all that crap and trying to figure it out. And I went and I got out in the car, you know, and it was just second nature to stop and just go, okay. And that's when it hit me, and I went, shit, man, like I'm way ahead of where I'm supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm even frustrated about. And I went fishing. I was not far from what spot I fished. Went over there for a couple hours and just was still for a minute and just let things kind of just settle. And I feel great about it. Whatever it is, man, you know, grass gonna get cut this year. We'll figure it out. You know, y'all may see me out there with a herd of goats. I may not be able to finance the equipment I want, so I might be the Fred Sanford of grass mowing with an old truck with a bunch of goats, but we're gonna get it done, you know?
I wonder how
So
much it cost. How much you think a goat is?
they rent them out. There's people that do these urban
My daughter has
cleanup.
2 goats, but they do her backyard all the time. There's a straight
Goats
some
can
kind of
destroy. Yeah, they can tear it up, man. But
Is it like all one family of goats, or is this several goats?
3 goats.
I would imagine, yeah, I would imagine you'd want to load up a few,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
We had this
Uh,
Maybe you can let
restaurant.
them loose at Koala.
What? We get some koalas. We need to bring a herd of koalas in. Is that what it's called? A
That's right.
herd of
That's right.
koalas?
But
You know what?
I
They,
want to say something about that guy. I mean, here's the deal to me. Neither one of y'all have relapsed, right?
I have not.
Right.
I've never. Well, I'm not with a program. I've relapsed 100 million times,
Yeah,
but
but I'm saying like, no, you know, and that's
Since coming in 88.
8 years, and then and listen, the
Yeah.
longer I've stayed sober, the more I realized that it was past. I was almost 8 years sober when I left, but
yeah,
you know, more will be revealed. But I think, you know, we think we're real smart for one thing. I mean, we have learned all this information, so surely we can drink successfully. Surely, you know, but I just won't do those kind of things. And then, I mean, it is like a tornado, like a hellacious tornado, and you don't even realize it. And but listen, once you start listening, once that first drop of alcohol goes down, something about my mind loses common sense. I start
it's
listening
like having a
to Alice.
reverse spiritual experience. You
That's
know,
right. I mean, you
Yeah.
start listening to Alice, and that's it, you know. And by God, why are you telling me what to do? Look what I've done with my life. I'm good. I'm doing okay. I mean, you really start to listen to all that stuff, and you eventually forget everything. I tried to come back. My problem was I couldn't come back. They tell you that the most insane thing is a belly full of alcohol and a head full of AA. It probably took me 7 years just to forget everything that AA taught me, and I still never forgot it all. And, you know, the 2 words that stuck in my head was, "Rested on your laurels," and you always sit that ball of rope, and I did. So, man, that book became more alive to me than it ever came in my life, really. It became alive. And it was something that I know today that God was doing absolutely for me what I couldn't do for myself. I'm so thankful I made it back before Art died. I mean, that was incredible. All the little gifts that I get, and I keep remembering hearing my mother say, I just want Lisa back. We just want the Lisa back. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm right here. I mean, what's the problem? My life is good. I bought a house, but no, I was just spinning my circles in that damn cage. And
Yeah.
today, it still gets scary sometimes today. I mean, when I get too much responsibility, I start tripping the hell out. I mean, yesterday morning when my mother was sick and I couldn't leave to come to Shreveport, this is Alice. Why I gotta do all this shit? Why is it just me? Can't somebody else do this shit? I mean, god dang, do I have to do this?
Mhm.
And then you gotta stop yourself. And I went to a meeting and went, I get to do these things. And I heard you say it too, Matt. Man, when you came out of that bank, you realize you can't be grateful and mad at the same time. I don't know which one of you people said, move a muscle, take change in action. My God, that shit works.
It
Yeah.
does. It does. You get up and do something, you definitely change it. And that's even inside or outside of AA.
Yeah.
You're even if you're not a alcoholic per se, going through some kind of weird craving, and
Yeah.
you're just a regular person sitting on the couch and you're pissed off about a football game
Yeah.
or whatever it is, right? You can get up and you can go clean your car out or vacuum the house and your thoughts process starts to change. You'll forget about that game or that ex-wife or
Yeah.
whatever it is that's
So
irping you today.
I think God's my ADD, my weird sense of humor, the darkness of my sense of humor. It takes stuff to get my attention, and I think things are fascinating or funny that a lot of people don't think. So I keep most of it to myself.
Except when we're on here
So
together.
yes, well, so Friday I go to my fiance's ex-husband's house to pick up my stepson. Right?
Yeah.
They have other kids. One of those kids is a legend. Okay. This kid is like, I'm going to come at you like a spider monkey dude. He's got
Yeah.
a mullet. Like, he's one of my favorite people on the planet. The Savage Life chose this kid. Okay. And he's like 7 or 8. But I love just his whole energy of life. Like, he's got his own deal going on.
Yeah.
So he's over there. I pull up to get the stepson I'm picking up. He's not ready to go. They're like, we're on the back patio. So I come around, bunch of adults are all having beer. It's Friday evening. So I sit down. They immediately want a beer, want a beer. I'm no, I'm fine. Normally that would be something I'd be like, well, that was awkward. Immediately this kid is sitting across from me with all these adults. He's eating candy, jacked up on candy. He looks me dead in the face, no expression, and he says, I have a broken penis.
Oh my God.
And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, I don't know that I heard right what he said. And I
Yeah.
said, do what now? And he said, I broke my penis. It's broken. Now he's like 8. Okay. And I'm like, man, you got to tell me this story. I don't know that I've ever heard those 2 words before, that was a thing. He said, I was fighting with my brother this morning. He pulled me off the couch. I did the splits and landed on my junk right in the floor from off the couch. And he said, I'm pretty sure I damaged my urethra,
Oh, yeah.
the
What?
Yeah.
old urethra.
Yeah,
And by
that's a
this time I'm in.
common injury in cockfighting.
Yes. And by this time I'm in. I'm invested in this whole story. Forgot about the beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even, I'm
Yeah,
all
it's
in
probably
on
not a
this
good
deal.
idea to talk to an 8-year-old about his penis at a group setting like that
Yeah,
either.
yeah. And that's just how I live. I get in these conversations. And so I'm like, bro, I said, he's like, it's blue and purple right now.
Mm.
I've done been to the doctor. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking of something encouraging to say. I'm like, I got to encourage the man.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of how this injury happened. And I went up, brother, I said, I'm going to tell you something. You really should look at this and be proud. I said, because if I had been pulled off there and that was the only thing shielding me personally from breaking, I would have broke something else like my chin, my stomach, my face. that would not have stopped me, you know. So you need to be proud that it was enough that you got enough going on there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Proud
I
moment.
think he kind of, you know, he thought it out and he was like, okay, that's good. I said, man, because I would have just rolled right over, you know, there's no
Yeah.
stopping. So
Gratitude in everything, man.
That's right.
Gratitude in everything. And you can see how your shortcomings helped another
yes,
person. So,
literally,
yeah.
literally.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
that's kind of, you know, that's kind of how my world is, and it changed my whole attitude. Like I drove back from Wascom to Bossier, and I laughed probably as much to myself as just because I like that kid anyway. He's always got something wild going on in life. He's just one of those, and I like people like that. And man, it just made my whole weekend. I was like, who breaks their penis? You know, I'm gonna go home and Google that. Is that a
Yeah.
common thing?
Well,
You know,
I
I
knew a
have to
guy
find out.
once. I did. I knew a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He told some big story to cover it up, but and Matt, humor can also kind of like moving that muscle and changing
Sure.
that muscle, the love muscle. But moving that muscle and changing that thought really can. Humor can help a lot too. I have so today we have about a foot of snow, maybe 2 feet of snow, and it's been snowing nonstop for about 48 hours, and so getting stuff at work, getting people into work, it's just a rough scenario, right? Just and it's just it's hard whenever you have this kind of weather. I'm talking. I was about there shoveling snow behind the store. Like I'm a Louisiana kid. I ain't ever shoveled snow in my life. I bought a pair of snow boots for the first time ever. I mean, just and then my boss shows up, and of course, on that level, you're supposed to pretend like everything's normal, like nothing's any different than any other day. And so you're getting around and you're talking to your boss, and they're bringing up all the things that are wrong or right or whatever it is. And your whole time you're in your head thinking about the weather. And that's just part of what I do for a living. I get that, right? It's not that big of a deal, but it does kind of bring you down. And we got to the front end, and there is a restaurant here in town. Now I haven't been there, but there's a restaurant, and it's a Mexican restaurant. It's called Chihuahuas. Okay. And apparently they serve the best steaks in town. And he was talking to another guy, and then he finished talking to him, and he looked at me and he's like, "Have you ever had Chihuahua steaks?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, I don't really eat dog. I don't.
Yeah.
I have." I get a little fried Shih Tzu every now and again, because
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
young and tender, but I don't really eat dog. But anyway, that little bit of humor just kind of lightened up the entire aura of what was going on, and we could just keep on keeping on, and I think there are people who suffer from addiction problems that little things will give them a reason to go off and maybe take that power back. That's what, when I talk about relapse or I hear about relapse, in my head, I have to use the term take the power back,
Yeah.
because to me, I went 92 days sober once, Lisa, and I didn't really do very good in that 92 days, but I did turn my will in my life over every day like I was told to at the
Yeah.
rehab center, and I prayed every day. But there was a point there where I took that power back.
Yeah.
I can say I never lost faith. I'll never lose faith. But truth is, my actions showed that I had taken that power back, and that faith that power greater than myself was going to bring me back to sanity. It was gone,
Yeah.
because let's just face it, that feel good that we're looking for happens in a split second whenever you're into addiction. And the prayer life and the good life and all that may take a little while, especially when your body quits making endorphins or whatever those things are that make you feel good on the inside chemically, which is, how we are, right? That's just part of our chemical makeup. And when we abuse drugs or alcohol, that there's a reduction in the production of that stuff. So you're naturally going to be depressed. And
Yeah.
and so, humor though always helps the situation, especially if I can laugh at myself. It makes me understand Rule 62 a little better. I don't have to take myself so serious.
Right.
And that's my only rule really I go by is Rule 62. So
And I think when we do the steps and we kind of get that ego thing out of the way and it doesn't become, I blink every single breath, life and death, like it is when we first come in and we
I agree.
kind of start to settle into what's going on and we see some of the good from it and we've experienced the results. And then I do think when you truly, people use that word recovery, but there's a lot of things to do with recovery. And one of them is exactly that. Dude, don't take yourself so damn serious.
Yeah.
My sponsor one day, I said something. It was a Halloween picture of him and his wife, and they were dressed as Bud and Sissy from Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy, yeah.
And I texted him and said, this is going to be on the bulletin board at the Koala Club because you look like Woody from Toy Story.
Who is this?
Bobby.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he said, you can't embarrass me. I'm an alcoholic. That's what he told me. He didn't care. And I was like, damn, you can't do nothing to a fella like that. He don't care. Put it up there. But I get where he's at. Like it's just, dude, I'm not I don't have this view of myself as up on this pedestal.
That's right.
I'm not this special case anymore. I'm not special. And man, we all make mistakes. And I think it's also helped me in dealing with other folks too, to where I don't, I meet somebody who's a business person or a, done very well. They're just people, man. At the end of the day, everybody's just people and they're all trying to make it. And yeah, man, I mean, the laughing, we have a group text with about eight AA people that of all different races, genders, all that. And it is the most, and they're all AA and they've all been on this podcast. That's all I'm going to say. It's top secret. But it is the most politically incorrect, horrible stuff that is put on there.
Yeah.
And we laugh and it rolls all throughout the year. And you never know when something's going to come up. And, it is what it is. And it's dark humor. It ain't for everybody, but it's just part of my day, and I never know when something like that's going to pop up. And Lacey was getting dressed one day recently. She's in a bathroom mirror. She's trying on an outfit. She's talking to her friend on the phone, FaceTiming her friend. I bought this pair of pants or whatever it was. I'm in the shower. Okay. I cut grass. It's funky when I come home. It's straight to the shower. I'm in the shower. The shower's over her shoulder with a glass door on it. As she's talking in her own world, paying me no attention, she takes a picture and sends it to her friend and says, what do you think about these pants?
Little
Her friend looks at it and says, oh, they're nice. Her friend's husband, who's sitting with his wife over there, he says, I'm a little more worried about that naked guy that's right over your shoulder.
Right.
And it was a live video, and I basically have a towel just all up in there, getting after it. Fully nude. Okay.
Yeah.
And Lacey's horrified.
Breaking story we're going to hear today, Lisa.
Man, and the guy, my buddy goes, hey, man, one thing about that dude, he washes his ass. We see now that he does that.
Yeah.
But
no more rumors. No more rumors.
Yeah. And Lacey was horrified. And I was like, this may be the greatest thing that's ever happened. Like, I thought it was awesome, And she's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, this is the best thing. Like, this has made my whole week. I've tried to get that photo. I want to use it for my Instagram profile. And she burned it. Like, whatever she did, it's gone. But, man, look, you got to have fun, man. Like, it's just, so.
It used to drive me crazy whenever I'd hear, and you know who I'm talking about. And I've been praying for her, Jane.
Yes.
But she'd say, if you're not having fun in AA, it's your own damn fault. And I'd think, I want to choke that bitch. But I mean, it's really damn true, And whenever you said, Mike, about not taking yourself so damn serious, I really think that was a lot of my problem at the end too, because I thought, man, you cannot be feeling like you're not somewhere, like I needed to be better than where I was at. How could I have these thoughts and feelings if I had that long of sobriety? And so I kept it to myself. And what they tell you, your secrets are going to kill you. And that's the truth. But it was something about, man, when I made it back this time, I was so desperate and so broken that I believe with all my heart when I got in that jail and I came to, I didn't have no DTs and there was no reason for me not to. And I just asked God to help me. And I told those words, I made it back. I knew I'd made it back.
Yeah.
I know all I knew I could do was just sit there and be a yes girl and say yes. And it wasn't, I've never wanted to die one day in my life unless I am drinking or taking mind altering chemicals.
Yeah.
And by
Isn't
God,
that the
I'll
truth?
take myself out.
And that is the truth. And you have when you actually, speaking of going back out, coming back in, when you go through step 1 and 2, right? And when you get to step 2 and you come to believe, and there's a lot of things that happen in your life in that time frame, right? 1, 2, and 3, a lot of changes, a lot of positive come along.
Yeah.
If you do go back out, right, you do remember that when you did come to believe that a power greater than yourself
Yeah.
restored you to sanity, when you did that, your life was better than what it is whenever you go back out. So
Absolutely.
finding it, that was very important. If it takes a relapse like this young man in New Orleans
Yeah.
or anybody really, you come to believe that that power's there and that power's always going to be there. And that's something that, we can't even a relapse can't take away,
No.
right? It's there. Man, it is solid.
Yeah.
And
You don't know if
I'm
you're gonna
glad.
make it back. There's the kicker. Some people don't really make it back, and it's because they're
They don't.
and for my own self, it was because I was so afraid that I was never gonna feel the way I felt that first time. I mean, oh my God, it's not gonna be okay. And these few years are so astronomically shot in the fourth dimension, truer than I've ever known anything to be in my life. But anytime those feelings come up, man, I can snap that shit in the bud in about 5 seconds. And
Yep.
sometimes it lingers. That time that I was coming back from the tri state, my arms and shit were so heavy. And I felt let down and I felt myself, and the whole deal is see, I'd taken my power back for that moment.
Yep.
You can take that shit back. But by the time I got to that Texas line, I came back from my insanity for that moment of, it's going to be okay. Everything will be okay. If I believe that everything's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. But if I believe that it's going to hell in a handbasket, really, it's our perception. Our perception is it's a crazy place to be, and it will take us places we never. I can take a trip and never leave home, buddy. I can promise you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. And I too, something that I find that I found in sobriety, and I know we ain't really had a topic, but this is something Mike and I were actually talking about this the other day on the last episode about having a higher power. But, when you turn all that kind of stuff over, there's a lot of junk that you're turning over and saying, this ain't my deal anymore, right?
Right.
And so I definitely do things wrong for sure. But like some of the ways I look at things and the way that I react to things now are drastically different than I used to do. And I also have a piece about it to where I don't get caught up in, oh, this person may have done me wrong. I'm going to stew on this shit for however long. Man, they may be having a bad day. I don't know what happened. I let it roll, man. It's in one ear and out the other. And it's funny to me how things will come full circle when you look at them like that. And down the road, that same person you have a dealing with them and go, they were probably just having a bad day.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
or they had a bad moment there of judgment. That's not their character. That's not who they are.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me, the people as I go along that if I would have reacted in my old way, I'd never be around them. It would have always been this thing. Oh, I don't like it. I don't do all that crap.
Yeah.
I don't care, man. I let people be people. I've got a full-time job being that. It is a full-time job. Evidently I'm the broken penis guy,
Yeah.
so I got all that going on. I don't
You
have
will be
time.
from now on.
Yeah, and that tells you how much I got going on in my world. I drove an hour back to town and I'm just going, how do you do that? Like anyway, but that's a nice place to be when you're not taking things too serious with myself. And I don't do that with other people either. I just don't. On their best day, I don't take people at, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And also, I don't go, this is the worst person I've ever met. Just let's see what happens. I work on shit every day, and most of the people I know, they have to work on stuff too, and they get the freedom to do that just like I do. But that's, man, that puts you in a good place when you're like that, and you get to see things ebb and flow, and you go, oh, that dude, he ain't that such a bad dude, or you know whatever it might be. But that's a good place to be, and just knowing, like today, knowing, man, I can just pause for a minute, go chill, and not even think about nothing, just let it come to me. And I guess that's meditating. I don't know, I never have been exactly what meditating is, but that's the way I do it. And just kind of let it come back and be able to work through it. I'm slow anyway. Most of the people listening to this already know that. So it takes me a little while, but if I can get quiet, things like that, I'm able to step back and look at them and go, this is not the end of the world. I don't have any control over it. I've done all I can do. And it's funny how that crap ends up working itself out. So good place to be today. So
So
Oh,
this is
when
something
we're
I'd like
upset,
to leave everybody with is, I thought that a lot of miracles had happened in my life. Well,
um,
since I've made it back, what I've discovered is that saying that they say, "Don't leave before the miracle," and I'm thinking, "These stupid." I wouldn't say it on there, but MFs, whatever. I'm like, whatever. But during my darkest moments, this time, whenever I've walked through it, and I mean, listen, there's been times that I just want to get my bed home and just think, man, this really sucks. And if I just keep on, that miracle is right there on the corner. See, so I know that that miracle was right there on that corner before I walked out those doors. Before I
uh-huh.
took myself and said, no, no, I got this. It's going to be okay. That miracle was right there. And so I'm glad that I remember that. And I hope everybody finds that really. I mean, I've learned so much from every single person, whether they're atheist, agnostic. I love Rich. He has taught me so much. And then this other man said, I think the most important thing is being open minded. And I thought, no, I think willingness is it. But come to find out, I really think the open mind when I hear it and I let it play through. Because if I'm not open to change, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
I love y'all to death. And this is a good
Um,
thing, see, because when we leave here today, we all gonna be sober. That's what it's about, right? Two people.
hey, I will. I was just talking about trying to get equipment financed and all this going on, and I just had a bright idea. I'm going to call my sponsor about it when I leave, but I'll go ahead and run it by everybody on the podcast. I may get Lacey to take another picture of me in the shower,
Oh shit.
and
mm,
I'll sell them autographed copies, $5 a piece. That should get all that mowing. I
well,
feel like,
this time not cleaning your rack.
Dude,
No.
yeah, yeah.
it's my
May
I'll
want to do
even
like
for 10
Art
bucks.
Reynolds pose or something.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
Tom Jones.
magazine or something. That's what I'd like to try. Sell them there.
I remember Bert. Bert, I remember that. That was a good one right there. But anyway, that may raise some money, buy a couple of mowers. Who knows? So,
Yeah.
I'm willing to try it if Lacey's okay with that being out there.
Pretty sure she'll be
Well,
just fine.
Yeah,
when
yeah. She don't care.
life starts going south and things start getting a little down. Maybe I need to ask myself, am I taking the power back?
Yeah.
That I have found a power greater than myself in step 2. Am I trying to come back to being the power that I thought I was before I tried to get sober? And maybe, just maybe, the answer is going to be somewhere in there. So, couple things, Matt. We did hit 200 followers on Spotify, which is pretty cool, man. I would love to have more. After I get off this podcast, I got to go in and accept Apple's terms and conditions again this year. I forgot to do that. So, but we hit 200 on Spotify, and that's pretty cool. I remember we were asking for, like, we had 119 and we were trying to get to 125, and so the more we get, the better it is. We don't make anything off this. There's no earnings. It just gives us a way to share the message. Number two, I posted a picture of my grandson, Everest, on Instagram the other day, or maybe it was today. His mom took him to the park and she showed me a picture. Well, we're about a month out now from them going to Philadelphia and finding out an actual surgery day whenever they're going to actually go in and put a device on his rib cage and put a rod in his back. And that would be the first two of many. So, a lot going on there, but man, he's still trucking right along and doing great. And I hadn't really talked about him much. And people do text me from time and time again. I always get texts, and y'all remember it's 5 o'clock here, right? Or almost 6 o'clock. It's almost 8 o'clock where you guys are. But I always get text. It seems like when I'm right in the middle of stuff, so people in Louisiana, 5, 6 o'clock, they're getting off. It's still 3, 4 o'clock for me, and I'm in the middle of stuff, and I may forget to get back to somebody, and by the time I get around to it, it's just too late. But a lot going on there. So, it's hopefully
it was a beautiful day here for him to get outside and play, man. It was 80 degrees, the wind was blowing. I've been wearing a t-shirt since I left the house this morning. I mean, it's been a perfect, beautiful day. So I bet he was having fun out there. It
looked like he was. I mean,
yeah,
he likes to play Frisbee. You throw the Frisbee and he catches it in his mouth. And, a lot of kids that age can't do that, so,
yeah,
hats off to him, I mean,
yeah,
it ain't
yeah.
not helping him any with getting that nasty Frisbee just stuff in his mouth. But hey, whatever, man. I mean, kids will be kids. When I was a kid, I could eat dirt and you didn't even get worms. Nowadays, they get like 18 million diseases or something if they eat dirt. So,
What's that thing it said growing up in the 80s? Like now we got all this Life 360 and like you could keep up with their heart rate and all this crap. And it was like growing up in the 80s where you yelled at your mom, "Hey mom, we're going down the railroad tracks. The hobos
yeah.
kill one of their own, we're going to check it out." And they're like, "Supper's at 5,
Yes,
be
what's
back."
the cleaning
So
for me while you're down there, stuff.
yeah, I mean, look, it was I'm glad I grew up when I did. I wouldn't have wanted to grow up
There was one
in this
comedian
day.
on there that said that, he grew up in the 80s, obviously, and he's like, "I died on the monkey bars one time, and my mom just made me shake it off."
Yeah, yeah. Man, hey, this is telling on ourselves. And Lacey's 10 years younger than me, but I remember going in a convenience store when I was young and them selling bottles of water like this for the first time.
Yeah, that was a big
Yeah.
deal, man.
And I
Mhm.
remember being like, "What a wuss, dude. Who would buy and
Yeah.
pay for that
You remember our
when you
parents, "We're not paying
you
for
can
water."
drink off the side of somebody's house?" Like
There's
it's free.
All right, well,
So
that's another episode, Matt, Lisa, appreciate you guys. I'll see you soon. Love you both.
Glad-
And y'all be good. I'm gonna play this outro music and then we'll say goodbye. How about that?
all right.
Where you at, Lisa? Tyler?
Here. I'm in Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas. Where you at?
Tyler.
Where you at, Lisa? Tyler. That's what I thought. From Tyler, Texas, Bossier City, Louisiana, and of course, Reno, Nevada. We are the Grouch and the Brainstorm.
They said.